Good morning, Bardstown and Nelson County, and welcome to another edition of Bradford and Brooks. Jim Brooks and Margie Bradford with you this morning until noon, and then stay tuned to WBRT for the best in state and local news. Good morning, Margie.
Morning, Jim.
Well, I tell you, we had quite a windstorm at my house late yesterday.
Well, don't tell me. All the garbage cans ended up at the back fence.
No, we don't. We keep them out of the wind.
Oh, okay.
So those stay safe. It did clear off part of our porch furniture, though. And we've got heavy wooden chairs, so when those blow off, you know it was 45 mile an hour per.
That's how you gauge it.
Yeah, and how scared the dog is.
Right.
So anyway, when the wind gets loud enough to start rattling the storm windows, he gets concerned. So.
Well, I went to Texas to warm up and found out it was as cold there as it was here. So
is that right? Didn't get any Texas heat.
No, not this time. Just visit in the summertime. I'll get plenty of that.
What part of Texas, Marty? Just curious.
Halfway between Fort Worth and Dallas.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, very good. Well, we're glad you made it back.
I am glad to be back. I enjoyed going, but I'm glad to be back.
Right. All right. Well, we have a very special studio guest with us this morning here on Bradford and Brooks, Bardstown Fire Chief Todd Spalding. And good morning, Todd.
Good morning. How you all doing today?
Good morning, Todd.
Well, I know that you, and we're talking about the fire department, and you want to cover like the last year and other fire-related topics. Well, Todd, give us a recap on about your background in firefighting. And you know, one of the question I've always wanted to ask career firefighters: what drew you to becoming a firefighter? What interested you in that as a line of work?
You know, even as a kid, I just loved the fire trucks and all that. I don't know. Mom always said I was always drawn to the fire trucks, but then we did have a house fire when I was 12 years old, and that really kind of solidified that that's what I wanted to do. You know, I saw the firemen working at our house and putting the fire out and things like that. So I joined the department when I was 17 as a junior, and I was around for 6 years till my first son was born, and then I was gone for 10 years, and then I've been back for 15 years. So I've got 21 years service in Bardstown community and fire department.
All right, well, it's good to have you with us this morning, and great to have somebody from the community at the top of the department.
Well, thank you.
Well, Todd, I heard some of your presentation last night to the Bardstown City Council, because I think you kind of reviewed the past year, and it sounds like that the fire department stayed busy and kind of rose to meet any challenges you guys had.
Yeah, it's been a challenge. You know, it was my first year as a chief, and we've had to overcome some challenges. We had back in 21 and 22, we had a lot of turnover. In the year 21, we lost 4 employees, and in 22, we lost 6. Well, you know, our staff is 20, is how many we had at the time. So that's a 50% turnover in our staff. So,
right.
You know, anytime you lose that amount of staff, it takes a while to rebuild. Because it takes about 4 years for a good firefighter to develop, you know, because there's so much we got to go through as far as, you know, our fire training, you know, our EMT training, and then we also do technical disciplines like confined space, hazardous materials, swift water rescue, and rope rescue. So it takes a while to develop all those skills. So we're playing a lot of catch up.
Now, I was impressed, and I can't remember the number, but just to become a firefighter, there's a quite amount of training, and it takes dedication to do this training to become a firefighter. And I can't remember the number of hours, but it's substantial.
Yeah, to be a full-time firefighter, you have to get 300 hours of training, but it has to be in certain disciplines like ladders and fire extinguishers and hose appliance and nozzles and things like that. So, yeah, it takes time to get that done.
Well, and I think that your desire to rebuilding the fire department was assisted by changes that City Council approved as far as pay and benefits with the fire department as well.
Yeah, back in the day, when you had a firefighter job position come open, you probably get, even at Bardstown, you get 30 applications. Now we're lucky to get 3 or 4, and that's because the pool of available or people wanting to get into the service has declined. So I don't know why, but that's the case. But you have to be competitive and to retain those employees. Getting them in the door is one thing, but retaining them is so important because you invest so much time and money
absolutely
into them. Gear, when we buy gear for them, it's $4,000 for a set of gear, and then you get their uniforms and all that money spent in training and developing them. So you don't want to invest all that money for them to go somewhere else. So the city council has done a good job of becoming competitive with their salaries and vacation time. So us as a command staff, we just have to make sure that we keep a good positive work environment and keep the morale high and help them achieve their goals that they're looking to achieve.
Right. Yeah, and I think that if it's not a positive workplace, people won't stay.
Right. That counts for a lot. People want to enjoy coming to work. Another change that was made that they used to work 24 on and 48 off. Now they work 48 on, 96 off, and the staff really like that change in the schedule because they get more weekends at home. More consecutive weekend days at home, spend with their family and see their kids playing ball games and stuff like that. So they really enjoyed that schedule change.
Well, now how many firemen do you have now, full-time firemen?
We have 23 total now, so we have 7 per shift.
Okay.
So we run 3 out of the Station 2 at City Hall on an engine company, and then we run 4 out of Station 1. We have 2 on an aerial device and 2 on an engine company.
And that other station is on 245?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, right.
The fire department, were there any large, I don't know how you define large fires in 2023? I'm trying to rack my brain, but sometimes things happen and I don't even hear about it, structure fires.
Not so much in the city. We haven't had, but out in the county, we responded to some mutual aid calls out in the county, down in Deatsville, that old home down there. That was a really big fire that took us about 6 hours with multiple departments to try to get that fire under control. And so that was probably the biggest fire that we dealt with.
The only time you go into the county, though, is when they request your help. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and anytime that they request us, we're going to send apparatus to assist them. And we all have we all struggle with personnel, and all departments do. So we have to count on each other to help each other out. Right. To help because we take so many firefighters to get control of a blaze.
Tell us about how many calls you have in a year, or have had this last year, or. Okay.
So in 2022 we had 1,686 calls, and then in 2023 we had 1,802, which is about a 7% increase. Most of our calls are 65% of our call volume are EMS calls. And so in 2022, we had 1,098, and then in 2023, we had 1,188. And our other kind of significant increase was in false alarm. In 22, we had 190, and in 23, we had 234. And, we try to work with the industries on making sure that their alarm systems stay up to date and try to eliminate those false alarm calls. It's, as our population continues to grow, and we've seen the growth all across Bardstown, our call volume will continue to grow. And we have to look at, increasing our level of service in different areas and maybe adding stations and things like that. And we'll find more out about that. I think we have an ISO audit coming up in this year or next year that kind of they'll let us know where we need to be.
Okay, so that 1,800, is that just the EMS calls?
No, it's
Or is
all-
that EMS calls and fire?
Yeah, that's EMS and fire. So
But how, for fires?
for fires, we had 64 fire calls. And then some of the other calls were like hazardous conditions, 56, service calls, 77, good intent call was 169, false alarms, 234, and then special incidents were 11. So
I mean, it's not a one size fits all.
Oh, no, we do so much. In those EMS calls, that's like vehicle extrications,
Right.
Water rescues. There's a lot of different categories within just that EMS calls. So,
Yeah, well, I know. Talk a little bit more about all of the different situations that you have to be prepared for and they've got to be trained for, because we were talking about it before we came out here. So.
Yeah. And then, with that what we was talking about the turnover, in the 2022 we had 2,930 hours of training, and now that we had that turnover in 2023 we had 6,582 hours of training. So we're trying to bring our staff up. So with those technical disciplines, we really try to start off with rope rescue, because ropes kind of play into swift water. We kind of use ropes for all those technical disciplines. Confined space,
Right.
we have to use rope systems to go down into a hole,
Right.
or if somebody's trapped in a river, we can set up a rope system to move that boat back and forth. We try not to get in the water if we don't have to, because that water is so dangerous. It can sweep you just right off your feet, and it's really hard to recover from that. So rope systems, we start off with them, and we try to get everybody brought up to being really proficient in ropes. And then we try to go into, we just finished our confined space class. So we had to bring in all of our staff for that 3-day class. It cost the city 380 hours of overtime.
Wow.
So that's, it's expensive.
Right.
But, we have to, in order to, we have to bring in, a lot of instruction we try to do in-house, but there's some things like that we have to bring outside
Right.
instructors to do to get certified. And so we do now have all of our staff up to a confined space to where, these distilleries, they go in and clean these beer wells all the time.
Yeah.
We get calls all the time from the distilleries that, hey, we're making confined space entry today. So, the potential is there, and then.
Well, so do you have to go there and be ready?
No, they just call and give us notifications so that we know, hey, this is what's going on.
Okay.
And, we
Kind of a heads
have
up.
kind of our equipment prepared and ready in case something bad goes down. But so yeah, we just finished up the confined space. So now we got to focus on swift water. Getting all our personnel up to swift water. We do have some, of our staff that didn't turn over. They're still technician levels. So there's different levels of these technical disciplines. Awareness is kind of like in a confined space awareness. You could say, oh, somebody's in the hole. There's something that's happened. On operations level, they can go down and do a line of sight rescue. But in a technician level, they may be down a tunnel and 20 feet down. So at that technician level, they can go all the way across. And we actually have them tethered off to a complete air supply, so that they, if you just go in with a bottle, you may only get 35 minutes. But if you have the tethered off to the air supply, you can be in there for hours working. So, but it's a lot to it. So.
Well, that's something the average citizen, or at least this average citizen, did not think about.
Yeah, and being just a small town department, we have to do so much. Your larger departments, they have divisions that, a rescue division that they can solely focus on, technical disciplines, where we, as a small department and the only full-time department in Nelson County, we have to be able to do it all at any time. So it takes a lot of training and developing that consistency and being operationally ready.
Well, Todd, I know that you all train for hazmat situations. And back years ago when they had the district hazmat team, I did some training with them. Not level A suit or anything, but research.
Yeah.
Doing research. But, and that was so beneficial to me, just knowing, not just how many hazardous materials travel through Nelson County, but the level of hazard you might even have under your sink.
Yeah.
You combine the wrong two chemicals and you could create some sort of poisonous or noxious gas,
Right.
But anyway, that and I think people we don't think about it. Your regular motorist doesn't think about that semi behind you, that's carrying some industrial gas or chemicals to a local factory to be used in plastics or whatever. But you guys have to be trained to respond to those, and I'm sure you have technician level guys, or the awareness for me was fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that. But the technician level and the hands-on requires substantial training.
It does.
And of course, you guys are no strangers to using air packs and all that either.
Yeah.
But and because if you're a little bit claustrophobic, even the apparatus, breathing apparatus can make you can bring out a little claustrophobia in you if you're not used to it.
For sure, yeah. If you're claustrophobic, the gear is very restricting, and the face piece and all that.
Right.
But the hazardous materials, we've had to kind of, we want to be proficient in what we do, so we've kind of had to evaluate our disciplines and what disciplines we really need to focus on.
Right.
So we've kind of gotten away from trench rescue. It's something that it's been around. We've had the equipment for 20 years and we've never made an incident with it. But if we take on so many disciplines, we may be okay at them,
Right.
which is enough to probably get somebody hurt, or we can focus on certain disciplines that we use a lot, like confined space, rope, and swift water, and be very proficient in it, and then like if we have an incident like a hazardous materials technician, we can call in like the 41st Civil Service Team, Jefferson County.
Sure.
If there's a rescue that can be made, we can go in and perform a rescue. But as far as like mitigating a hazardous material incident, we don't have enough staff.
Sure.
Because you got to do decon.
We're very specialized.
Yeah, it's very specialized.
Yeah, so we're trying to make sure that the disciplines that we are in, that we're going to be very proficient to.
Right, and I'm assuming too that you want your disciplines to match the need, the anticipated need in the community as well.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and that's talking about our 2024 goals. And you heard at the city council meeting, we're looking at going into AEMT program, so advanced EMT. Right now, we're just at the basic level of care, so we're a little bit restricted as far as medications that we can provide, but we started the EMT program 8 years ago when we started the full-time fire department, and I think it's been an awesome addition to the department to help the community, and we've done a lot of life-saving care and CPR and things like that. So we're looking to 65% of our call volume is EMS calls, and we want to try to increase our level of service, and so that when we do get there, we can start IVs. We can push pain medications if they need it, or any other kind of medications that they need, so we can make a bigger difference in their care prior to EMS arrival. So that's one of our goals, but it'll cost some money. Startup. There's always startup costs. You got to get additional equipment, and we got to train the staff and all that kind of stuff. So
Do y'all have these AEDs or?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yep, we do have those, and so we try to bring that in with every call and with our medical bags and stuff. So we try to be prepared when we go in.
Well, that it makes sense to move forward with the with the higher level of service because, and you may have statistics, but I know that because of the heavy volume of calls that EMS gets, you guys can very often be on the scene ahead of an EMS ambulance, particularly if 2 or 3 ambulances are tied up with transfers to Louisville facilities. Yes. So we're just thankful that we've got EMT trained firefighters who can get there and start initial care and evaluation of patients.
And it's industry wide. I was talking about the fire service. How fewer applications we get now. EMS is going through the same challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So, we kind of have to lean on each other to help provide that supplemental care to where when those, if they need additional care, we'll be able to provide it for them.
Mm-hmm. When are you anticipating starting training this year?
Probably January. There's a lot of logistics.
Next January?
Next January,
okay.
yeah. There's some financing part that we got to get pushed through to the city council.
Mm-hmm.
There's, we got to get our training institute program set up at our department
mm-hmm.
so we can kind of train our own people.
Right.
So right now we just do a lot of online training, and we want to get to where we have our own EMS instructors mm-hmm. to where they can provide hands-on training
right.
On shift. So we become more proficient at it.
Talk to us about the smoke detector situation.
Yeah. So we smoke detectors definitely save lives. There's mm-hmm. no doubt about it. There's been many calls that we've been on that. The smoke detectors woke up the occupant and they left food on the stove.
Mm-hmm.
And they were able to get out. Mm-hmm. Smoke detectors do save lives. And so we want to do everything we can to get smoke detectors in all residential units so that people can get out. And so
is there a program for maybe in furnishing smoke detectors for people who can't afford them?
Yes, ma'am.
Or who feel they can't afford them?
Yep. We will be happy if you own your home. We'll be happy to come out and install some smoke detectors. And it's a community partnership with the Red Cross. The Red Cross provide us with those smoke detectors, mm-hmm. and then so we have to install them to make sure that they're installed properly mm-hmm. and stuff. Mm-hmm. But if you rent, it's the landlord's responsibility.
Well, is there any sort of mechanism for making sure that landlords do keep those up, install them, and keep them up to date?
So yes, so we can enforce the fire code, mm-hmm. To make sure that those landlords, because it is ordinance that they have to be maintained. So if the tenants are having issues, and we've had that before, the tenants call us and, we'll follow up with the landlords and we'll go out and do an inspection of those apartments and, make sure that those smoke detectors, if they're over 10 years old, they have to be changed out mm-hmm. And that they're making sure that they're being tested and all that kind of stuff. So we can enforce the fire code, and if they don't come into compliance, we can fine them and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think most landlords want to protect their property anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that they renters change, or the fire detector, the smoke detectors can just quit working. And I think most landlords would appreciate, a reminder that there's something wrong going on. And now, back when I was in college, I rented I'll call it an efficiency. It was basically a converted tool shed that had a bathroom tacked on. But my landlord had the smoke detector hardwired into the AC system of the efficiency, and so. To me, that's ideal because you don't have to worry about battery. I don't know how good the detector was. Of course, that was X number of years ago. I won't give that up.
You won't tell your age.
Old. But anyway, I don't know if those do they still sell smoke detectors that are hardwired or not?
Yes, yeah. Actually, it's code now that they have to be hardwired in. So,
Is that for new construction or
yeah,
any? Okay.
new construction. So,
Excellent.
yeah, so it's important that they're all interconnected. So, you know, if you have an alarm upstairs, it's going to go off downstairs, and people know to evacuate and stuff. So, in those instances, we don't have those type of detectors. You would have to go and purchase them.
Right.
But we you know, try to find the same. We'll be happy to come out and put them up for you. Just try to get the same model. So that those connectors can plug right in, because we can't do the wiring and things like that.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I've seen detectors, the higher priced detectors have, well, they come like a lifetime battery. You can't change the batteries out.
Yep.
And I know I'm not asking you to make recommendations as far as brand names or whatever. Is there a benefit to that? I mean, to batteries you don't have to change? I mean, we change ours at least once a year, but I'm not sure that's often enough. Or wait for it to chirp.
Yeah,
You know?
that's usually what happens.
Well-
Right about 3 o'clock in the morning usually.
Exactly.
Oh, that can drive you crazy.
Oh, yeah.
But always keep that 9-volt in the drawer. But anyway, what about those? Are they in a step up? And of course, then you also have detectors that are carbon monoxide detectors as well. Where's the technology going, and is there a benefit to one or the other?
I think, you know, anytime you can take any maintenance part out of it, you know, with a 10-year battery, you know, that makes it that much more reliable. You know, you take out the human mistake out of it and the human element. So it makes it more reliable. Now, the carbon monoxide detectors, you know, those are super important too, and I'm glad you brought that up. You know, those, a lot of people want to get those combination of the carbon monoxide smoke detector, but really your carbon monoxide detectors you want down low, because carbon monoxide is heavier than air.
That's right.
So if you get the combination, your room's going to be totally saturated with carbon monoxide before
Yeah.
the detector goes off.
That's an excellent point.
So, you know, you can get those carbon monoxide detectors that plug right into the wall outlet, and they're down close to the ground, and you want to put those where near any gas-fired appliance. And so, especially if you got, you know, kerosene heaters right now, you know, make sure that you got a carbon monoxide detector, or if you got gas-fired appliances, you know, carbon monoxide detector, because that gas is colorless and odorless, so you won't know until you get a really bad headache or you pass out, or you know, it's a very dangerous gas. So.
All right. Well, Chief, let's take a commercial break.
Yes, sir.
You're listening to Bradford and Brooks and our very special guest, Bardstown Fire Chief Todd Spalding. And we'll be back after these messages. Please stay tuned. All right, you're back with Bradford and Brooks. Jim Brooks and Margie Bradford will be with you till the top of the hour. And then stay tuned to WBRT for the best in state and local news. And our special studio guest today is Bardstown Fire Chief Todd Spalding. And we've been talking all things fire department, taking a look back at 2023, and then a look ahead at future plans for the department. And there's something we just learned that Margie and I weren't aware of, that the fire department has co-op students from the high school or out of high school students who are getting some experience as life as a firefighter. Is that right?
Yes, sir. For the last 5 years, we've worked with the local schools to seniors mostly who are wanting to co-op, and they take an interest into the fire service, that we bring them in their senior year, and they'll come in and train with the staff. And so we start getting them their training hours as a firefighter, and they can see, you know, is this a career path for me? Is this something that I enjoy? And we get to see if they're going to be a good fireman. And we've actually hired, I think, three different high school students that went through that program.
So they got hired on as permanent.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, it's an excellent opportunity for kids in high school that they can come out and graduate high school and start right into their career path. with no college debt.
No college debt.
No college debt.
That's a big deal right now.
And they get to retire in 25 years, so they'll be retired when they're 43, and drawing a pension at 43 years old. So, it's an excellent opportunity, and I enjoy, and I think the staff enjoys, helping these kids reach their potential and helping them get started with their life after high school. And,
well, what kind of a salary can a fireman expect to earn?
Once they start with us, the starting salary for a fireman is about $48,000. And then once they get their 300-hour certification, they start to get incentive pay from the state. And that's another $4,100 a year, so they could be up to about $52,000 a year right out of high school. But you got to be physically fit. You got to be. You can't be claustrophobic. You got to want to do the job, and it's not. There's really great days, and then there's the bad days that you couldn't make a difference in people's lives, and that can weigh on your psyche a little bit, and so some people can handle that and some people can't, but we try to make sure that we kind of give them, expose them to that during their co-op program to make sure that it's right for them.
That they have a reasonable idea of what to expect.
Yes, ma'am. Yep. So.
Well, that sounds really neat. I know that the high schools have been focusing on paths from the school to the workplaces.
Well, what non-college paths?
Right.
Yes.
And that's an excellent one that I really didn't know about before.
No, I had not either.
So anyway, kudos to you and the fire department for making that available, and the city council, I'm sure, because they have to chime in and give their approval as well. But if you can bring local kids into the fire service, people that want to protect their community.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Especially, if they live here and we get to hire them and they get to serve their own community that they're living in, and to me, it just more connection to the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think when you serve the community that you live in, you stick around a lot longer.
Oh yeah.
You don't look for, when you go somewhere else, it's just a job.
Yeah.
Right.
But here it's it's a connection.
Right. Yeah. Talking about the fire runs you have to make and the calls. And this is winter, and a lot of people have these space heaters. I know I have one myself where my computer desk is. I turn it on when I'm sitting there so my feet won't be cold.
Same here. Yeah.
But I always turn it off when I leave the room. But talk to us about the dangers there, and I know that people have had fires from them. So.
Yes, definitely space heaters can be dangerous, whether they're electrical or even gas-fired. With your electrical space heaters, they need to plug directly into a wall outlet. Definitely never want to use an extension cord for a space heater, because extension cords are just temporary wiring, and they're not rated for that amount of amperage coming through. And then if you have one that's a 25-foot long cord, and it's all coiled up. Well, while it's cooled up, it's generating heat.
Right.
And if it's sitting on carpet, it's going to ignite that carpet. It eventually get to its ignition source. So.
You mean if it's on an extension cord?
So that's why you never want to use an extension cord for an electric space heater. And you want to make sure that they got the safety features in them, which most of the new ones do. That if they tip over, they're going to shut off and things like that. But if you're using kerosene heaters, making sure that there's no combustibles around those kerosene heaters. And then just make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector, because.
Well, which one do you see the most trouble with? The kerosene heaters or the electric heaters?
Electric, usually, because people want to use extension cords, and they use too much extension cord, and it generates so much heat, and so a lot of problems with electric heaters.
Chief, I've seen where. And these are, the cheapest of the cheap extension cords you get for $1 somewhere.
Yeah.
And usually it'd have 3 outlets on the end of it, and a couple of high amperage things there, and it'll just almost melt.
Yeah,
it'll get so hot that it'll char, and then you're fortunate if it doesn't catch fire.
You're very much so.
But,
yeah.
What if you used those big, heavy orange cords?
Still no. Yeah,
So still not.
Yeah, just the amperage is just too much for those type of rated cords, and so it's just best that those space heaters get plugged directly into the wall outlet. And if there's a failure, then your breaker's going to trip or something like that. There's some safety measures there to keep a fire from occurring, and
Right.
A lot of fires occur due to electrical failures. So
Right. And just for a personal note, always try to keep if you have more than one space heater running in a house, keep them on separate electrical circuits if you can.
Yeah.
Because two space heaters on one circuit often will result in a blown breaker.
yeah.
Because they do draw a lot of current.
Yeah, and some people like in the old style breaker boxes would put pennies in behind there to keep the fuses from blowing, so they wouldn't have to change out the fuses so often. Yeah, so don't do that again.
Not recommended.
No, for sure.
But anyway, they're safe to use if used properly.
Right.
Now, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, earlier you talked about the ISO rating. So for those of us who are ignorant about these things, talk about what that is and how you get it and why it's good
Okay.
or bad.
Yeah, well, for us it's been pretty good over the last couple years. So the ISO is the Insurance Service Office rating. They rate a community based on 50% of it is fire protection, 40% is water supply, 10% is your dispatch center. So they take all those scores and they evaluate your community to see, how much of a fire loss will you have in that community. And so they rate you, 5 years ago, or about 8 years ago we were a 5, now we're a 3. We're hoping to lower that this next time, but each time that goes lower, homeowners and definitely your commercial properties see reductions in their property.
Do you have
insurance.
to ask for that, or are the companies supposed to automatically do that?
I would always follow up. I don't think the insurance companies are into making money, so if they can charge you a little more, I'm sure they'll charge you a little more.
It never hurts to ask your agent about the impact of dropping it down to another level, how that can affect your cost. And in some cases you may find out, well, we go by zip code and not ISO rating, but I think you're right, commercial properties are different, figured differently. And every insurance carrier is going to have their own process.
Yeah, they do a risk analysis and stuff like that. Then, fire department went full-time 8 years ago, and, the growth of the community since then is it correlated? It's possible, they see the level of fire protection that they get, and they know that, they want their properties protected.
Sure.
And, they're in the business of making profit, and if their insurance premiums are low, and, the city, I think Mayor Heaton was talking last night, we don't have an insurance premium tax here. We got a really low tax base here, and then they bring on their insurance cost is low too for having a ISO rating of a low score. That brings in industries to Bardstown and provides jobs for the community.
Chief, now I will tell you that years ago we depended on a number of kerosene space heaters, and always tried to follow the guidelines for keeping them safe, keeping them away from combustibles, and never had a problem with them, other than the smell, but that comes with it. But for safe operation of a kerosene heater indoors, I know the recommendation is to keep a window open or some sort of fresh air supply, just to avoid problems, I guess, with the fumes.
Yeah.
Is there a guideline, or is it, my concern always was, well, how much fresh air is enough?
Yeah.
Because if you open the window wide open, why, you've defeated your purpose of having a kerosene heater.
Yeah, and I think, a properly working kerosene heater can be beneficial, but if it's not maintained very well, then that wick, you're putting off that incomplete combustion. Creates all that carbon monoxide and smoke in the residence. So making sure it's maintained properly, and then this carbon monoxide detector, it's a game changer, lifesaver. So
right, and keep it mounted, keep it low in the room and not up at the top of your ceiling.
Right, low to the floor.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we never really had a problem with kerosene heaters, but it always pays to be vigilant.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, Chief, I know that one of the struggles I think with a small department is replacing apparatus because it's so expensive.
It is.
How does the department stand now as far as apparatus and doing replacements in the future?
So I've been working with Aaron Bowles, our city financial officer and city administrator, to come up with a plan. So we have our 3 first out apparatus. We have Respond 3 apparatus. So if we can replace those one every 15 years, so we'll replace one every 5 years. So that way we kind of can forecast what that financial cost is going to be, and you kind of figure that amount into your budget every year. So right now we just got a new engine a couple years ago. That's a beautiful engine.
Oh, it is.
Some people don't like the black over red, but I really love it, and the guys really like it. And it's a really beneficial piece to the community because of the foam capabilities that it has. So we are, one of our greatest threats here is flammable liquids with the bourbon industry. So we try to gear our apparatus towards fighting flammable liquid fires, and this apparatus has given us those capabilities. Our aerial device is 2014. So. And then our second engine at Station 1 is a 2003. So it needs to be replaced. Actually, it's a 2000, so it's 23 years old. So that'll be the next one that we would need to replace. But we're trying to get them replace them every 15 years, but one every 5 years. Okay, well, I know that how expensive these apparatus can be. And at least there's one benefit. Of course, I'm showing my age here, Chief. You don't have to find an engine that will fit a certain height building, a garage bay. Yes. That is the benefit of our new station is that we can. We used to have to special order our apparatus to fit into those low bays. They had to specially make them to fit in those stations.
Yeah, and I'm sure that added to the cost as well.
Oh, for sure.
And the time to build it.
Yes, sir. So now it's about a 2-year build time for fire apparatus, and a new aerial device runs about $1.3 million. So. When you look at 15 years on 1.3, looking at $100,000 probably a year. So it works out, but I mean they're expensive. But it's equipment that the fire department didn't want to do without. Correct. The community needs it. Yes. So it's an investment in protecting the community. You hope you don't need it, but if you do, you have it. And we have to, we didn't used to have 4-story hotels in Bardstown, and now we got 3 of them. So, we do need more aerial devices. So we're going to, the engine that we're looking to replace now, we would like to replace it with a tower. We can get more water supply through that. We can actually have 2 discharges coming off that type of aerial device versus we only have 1 discharge on the aerial device we have now. So, and then we can put people in the bucket, the tower, and they can go up and do a rescue. Direct. Without having to climb the ladder. Yeah. So. Well, this is unrelated to the city fire department, but I know that, and I don't know the proper name of the color, but that the kind of fluorescent green color that some fire departments were adopting. Yeah. Was that ever on your all's radar screen to change colors to something like that? No, we always say those aren't ripe fire trucks. Yeah, they're still green. They haven't ripened up yet. So we like them ripened already. Yeah, I think we did do some change of where, we used to have white on top of red. So
Right.
now we've gone to black out a little bit. But so that may be how we continue to go down. Now some of the older traditional firemen, they don't like it, but a lot of the new guys, they like it.
Well, I will tell you, I'm old school. I like chrome,
Yeah,
but I know on older trucks, there's a lot of chrome you got to keep polished.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't.
And that rhino lining, it helps protect, it is black, but it's also a rhino lining, so it prevents some of the rusting and all
Sure.
that other kind of stuff. It protects it a little bit better.
So we have black fire trucks now.
Well, red and black.
Yeah, red, but it's red on the bottom and black up top. So,
Oh,
And then
okay.
some of the wheels are black and stuff, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it is a beautiful truck.
yeah, we get a lot of compliments on it.
I
appreciate the
haven't
city
seen
council
that one.
getting us,
I haven't seen that one.
Let's stop in anytime. Our doors are always open to the public, and we like to show our equipment off and our station and things. We take a lot of pride in what we have, and we try to take care of it.
Well, a lot of time and money, but I went into making that building a good home for the fire department.
Yes.
There were a lot of things that had to be done that were done, and I can't imagine the change going from the old Station 1 to the new one.
Oh, it's they think they're in the Taj Mahal there. Got a nice kitchen, a 6-burner stove, and because they eat dinner there every night. So having a nice kitchen and stuff like that to be able to fix dinner and all that. So yeah, it's a nice station, and it's got we got additional showers in there, so we can get those carcinogens off of us
Right.
after a fire.
All right. Well, Chief, that's going to do it for this week's Bradford and Brooks. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I always enjoy talking to you all.
Same
Enjoy
here.
having you.
Always enjoy having you on and discussing the fire department. All right. Well, that's going to do it for Margie and myself. We'll be back next Wednesday. We'll be talking school choice with local school superintendents. Tune in for that one next week, and we'll see you then. Take care, everybody.